For Off the Block, I'm Vane Lopes, and we are now joined by UCLA All-Conference middle attacker and likely to be an All-American, Mitch Stahl. And Mitch, you guys are preparing for your first NCAA Tournament in almost 10 years. I know your first as a player. What has this week of preparation been like for you guys in the gym?
I think it's a lot of, Stahl's been there a few times, so he's more experienced than all of us combined. Like you said, it's our first time. For my class, anyone else on the team, it's been 10 years since we've been there. So he's kind of been briefing us on what it's going to be like. It's a lot different than the MPSF Tournament and the regular season because NCAA is more strict on, practice times, and we have, we have Wednesdays fully blocked out for us. There's kind of a lot of distractions going on. He's kind of preparing us for that, trying to give us a visual of what we're going to be going through on a day-to-day basis. And then, in practice, it's a little different because we have two potential opponents that we're preparing for. So that's a little difficult too, not knowing who's going to win that play-in match. And we got to prepare for two teams, and then we find out Tuesday, so then we have one day to prepare for the team that we're going to be playing. So it's a little bit chaotic, but it's exciting at the same time. Everyone's super stoked to go back east and do this thing.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, because for you this season, I know that you had a little bit of an injury in the second half of the season. What has that been like for you to rehab mid-season from that injury and be able to return to the court?
It's actually been great. We have some of the best doctors and trainers in the country. Mark Postnich has really helped me out with that, and it kind of worked out perfectly with, when it happened. It happened during a point in the season where we didn't have a whole lot of matches whenever I was first diagnosed with my stress reactions, so I was able to take a week off before our finals week, which is a dead week, so we don't have practice or anything. So there were 2 weeks where we didn't have a match out of the 4 that I was out, and then I think I only missed 3 matches or something like that, and the timing of it all kind of worked out perfectly. I was able to get back to the BYU weekend at home here and kind of get my feet back under me, and we're fortunate enough to have a guy like Eric Sprague come in and play lights out against Long Beach and did really well while I was injured, so my hat's off to him. And it's great to be back on the court and playing with the guys and getting an opportunity to compete for the national championship. Is pretty neat.
Yeah, and I want to ask you a little bit about the MPSF Championship match, because it's rare that a team hits more than 350 and loses. A little bit of service errors in the match for you guys. What did you, as a player and as a team, take away from that conference championship match?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird match, man. If you look at the statistics, both teams were hitting high numbers. We actually hit higher than them, I believe, and we lost. And that's pretty rare for that to happen. And I mean, the biggest reason I think we lost that match is because we just didn't give ourselves enough opportunities to get swings at the balls. I mean, specifically, we missed 27 serves. We gave BYU a set without, even stepping on the court, really. It's 1-0 with our errors. So that's kind of hard to swallow because, we were doing so well, but we just couldn't put the ball in play, and, we kind of got rattled a little bit, and we got to learn from that because it's going to be a playoff atmosphere all next week, and we got to be able to dial in our serve and score points off of it, whenever it's not going 100%. So it was a big lesson we got to take away from that match, and my hats off to BYU. They played well, and hopefully we get another chance at them.
Yeah. One of the big storylines about your team this year is you guys are running the 6-2, and I'm sure you've been asked it 1,000 times, so I apologize in advance. But what has it been like for you playing in a 6-2 offense this year?
I think it's advantageous for everyone. Middles especially, because when we dig the ball in transition, no matter who digs it, if it's close to the net, we're going to have a setter setting that second ball, so that means more trans opportunities for middles. That means better touches on the ball all around, and I think that if you look at the statistics on the year, we're one of the scrappiest teams in the country, and I think that comes back to running that stick too with having more ball control guys on the court. It's been great. Hagan and Micah are two outstanding volleyball players that know the game. They can do multiple things, obviously. And I think it's really an advantage for our team because, whenever it's a quick rally and, we dig the ball right to the net, some teams get confused as to who's front row. So then they can dump the ball, and there's just a lot of things you can do out of it. So I really like playing in 6-2. I think it's cool.
Yeah. And, I'd love to get your thoughts here because, you are one of the more upperclassmen on the team. What's something that has stood out to you about the freshmen or sophomores on this team that, whether it's just something that people may not know about them or just something interesting that you find or that they've been able to do this season?
I think maturity is a huge thing for us this year. Micah and Davis, they don't play like freshmen, man. They play like second, third years. I mean, Micah's probably arguably the smartest volleyball player on our team. Him and JT and Hagan, those three guys are combined have the knowledge of 6 to 8 volleyball players. And I mean, I've learned a lot from watching Micah play. He's taught me a lot about kind of what he learned from his dad in Hawaii, like how to play the game, a little bit of that mental side, like when to say things. I mean, he's teaching me as a freshman and I'm a junior, and I mean, it's really cool for us to kind of share our experiences and to really grow as a team and to grow as individuals. I think that this year you can see from the beginning of the year to now how our team has grown mentally. We've gotten a lot better at playing on one-point volleyball. That's what we talk about a lot as a team. The Spro emphasizes is the score is always 0-0. It's all about that one ball that's just in play. I mean, it sounds cliche, but when you can get 6 guys to think that way and to play that way, it really makes a difference. And I think that if you watch us play, you can see that more so than some teams in the country.
And, talking about the team, talking about the NCAA Tournament, I do want to ask you, and particularly because this is a little bit of a homecoming of sorts for you, going back to your home state to play in the NCAA Tournament. What is that going to be like for you playing in front of so many friends and family from back home?
I got a little taste of it back in January whenever I was able to come home and play in front of, more than just a few family members for the first time in 3 years since I came to college. And some of my best friends in high school, that was the first time they've ever seen me play college ball. So it's definitely going to be emotional, and I'm going to have to, kind of keep those emotions in check, which will probably be a little bit of a challenge because there's a lot of people coming out, a lot of people who have already talked to me about coming, and I think it's going to be a really special moment that I can share with friends, family, and people from my hometown.